Chosen one, something extraordinary just shifted, and it didn't happen by accident. And if you move past this too quickly, you may never recognize what just opened for you. In this very moment, heaven paused, not because of sorrow or warning, but because joy overflowed. Imagine it, the atmosphere of eternity growing still, angels leaning in, worship quieting for just a breath as the Father's attention fixed on you, not because you finally became strong, but because you refused to give up when everything in you wanted to. You've been carrying a weight people said would crush you. They told you it was over, that you were worn down, too late, too damaged to witness anything new. They whispered that your miracle had already passed, that the season you prayed for belonged to someone younger, stronger, luckier. But today rewrote that story. Today, you moved when fear told you to freeze. You chose trust while your heart trembled. You rose when exhaustion begged you to stay down. You dared to believe beyond the limits of what looked possible, and that single choice sent a shock through the unseen realm. Heaven responded. Right now, as these words reach you, favor long delayed is being released. Doors sealed by time and disappointment are beginning to loosen. What you thought was dead, forgotten, or buried too deep is stirring again. The enemy assumed you were finished, boxed in, overlooked, easy to erase. He miscalculated. If something just ignited inside you, if this message struck your spirit with a sudden knowing you can't explain, don't ignore it. Speak, acknowledge it. Let your voice rise where you are. Let heaven recognize your readiness. Let the darkness know you're no longer asleep, because what comes next isn't motivation or comfort. Some people will hear this and move on unchanged. Others will realize later that this was the moment they should have stayed. It's insight carried straight from the throne room, and it was time to reach you now. That's why the joy heaven is releasing over you today isn't gentle or symbolic. It's a signal flare. It's proof that something vast, something long delayed, has already been set into motion. You didn't stumble into this message. You were guided here. This moment has your name on it. This is the window heaven has been waiting for, the precise second when your spirit was strong enough to receive what's been prepared. If you drift away now, you risk missing the very thing that has been aligning itself for you for years. So stay here. Let your breath slow. Let your guard lower. Because what's unfolding next carries the power to reshape everything you thought your life was limited to. Heaven is communicating right now, quietly but clearly. The question is whether you're willing to hear it. Tell me, chosen one, when was the last time you saw your reflection without seeing evidence of survival? When did you last wake up without that familiar heaviness pressing into your chest? That invisible weight sitting on your shoulders like reminders of everything you lost along the way? You've walked through devastation most people only talk about. Not the polished version of suffering, but the kind that empties rooms and changes you forever. You've said goodbye to people you assumed would be there until the end. You've felt betrayal come from voices you trusted without hesitation. You've watched stability dissolve, numbers shrink, nights stretch long as worry replaced sleep. Spaces that once rang with laughter now echo with silence. And when you tried to name the pain, they told you to be grateful, to move on, to stop dwelling. But gratitude doesn't erase bleeding wounds. You were thrown into the fire, and somehow you emerged without smelling like smoke. Storms rose that should have swallowed you whole, yet you're still here. Loss knocked hard enough to end you, but it didn't. Still, the deepest cut wasn't the pain itself. It was the way people assumed you were done. The lowered voices, the sideways glances, the conversations that stopped when you walked in. And if we're honest, there were moments you believed it too. Standing alone, late at night, staring into nothing, asking yourself if the best parts of your life were already behind you. But history tells a different story. Sarah stood far beyond the edge of possibility, her body silent for decades, every natural door closed. Abraham was a century old, and yet God spoke one sentence that shattered every limitation. Isaac arrived, laughter in human form. David was just a shepherd, facing a giant wrapped in armor and rage. Everyone saw defeat written in advance. God saw a throne being claimed. This is the pattern you need to recognize. Impossible is not an obstacle to God. It's His territory. It's where He reveals who He is. Even now, with scars still tender, tears not fully dried, doubts circling your thoughts in the dark, something inside you refuses to extinguish, a quiet defiance, a spark that won't go out no matter how hard the wind blows, a whisper that says not yet when everything else says it's over. That isn't stubbornness, that isn't luck. That's divine imprint, heaven's signature etched into your spirit. If you feel it, name it. Share one word that captures the battle you endured. Let your survival become a signal for someone else still walking through the night, because what stirred heaven today wasn't your perfection, it was your endurance. Your breakthrough didn't bypass your pain, it was born straight through it. Picture this carefully and don't rush past it. The choice you made in quiet, when no one applauded, when no one even knew, sent a shockwave through eternity. You thought it went unnoticed. That moment you released forgiveness towards someone who shattered your trust. That night you put distance between yourself and the habit that kept you numb for decades. That decision to believe again, after years of prayers hitting what felt like an unmovable ceiling, you had almost forgotten the feeling of hope. It felt unfamiliar, risky, fragile. But heaven saw everything. Heaven was watching closely. And when you stepped into what felt impossible, the unseen realm responded. Angels froze mid-motion. Worship paused. The Father leaned forward, and that smile, the one that breathed stars into existence, rested on you. What you did wasn't small. You didn't simply forgive. You embodied mercy in motion. You didn't just endure. You became living evidence that restoration is still real. You didn't merely trust again. You altered the spiritual climate surrounding your life. Think of Noah, hammer in hand, building while skies stayed blue and mockery stayed loud. Every strike of that hammer sounded foolish to human ears, yet heaven was already preparing the rain. Your choice today was your hammer striking wood, and heaven is already gathering what will pour out next. Remember Esther, stepping into the king's court without invitation, knowing her life hung in the balance. "If I perish, she whispered. And with that single step, the destiny of a nation shifted. Your step today carried the same weight. It wasn't reckless, it was courageous. It didn't just change a moment, it secured your future. This wasn't casual belief. This was faith that bends timelines, faith that unsettles darkness and activates light. Faith that forces hell to retreat and gives heaven room to move. You've lived under the pressure of impossibility for so long. Relationships that seemed beyond repair. Finances that never stretched far enough. Health battles with no clear answers. Dreams labeled unrealistic, impractical, naive. Voices told you to lower expectations, to accept limits, to stop reaching. But something broke today. You crossed the boundary of what made sense and stepped into the space where God does his most unmistakable work. The realm where impossible doesn't intimidate him, it invites him. If deep inside you know that heaven took notice of what you did today, don't shrink back into silence. Let it be acknowledged. Say it out loud where you are. Heaven rejoiced over me. Write it. Speak it. Let it settle into your bones until it feels true, because it is. What shifted above you is preparing to appear around you. What was celebrated in heaven is aligning to unfold on earth. And you need to stay close now, because understanding why this moment matters will completely change how you see everything that comes next. Chosen one, before we go any further, hear this clearly. If the wrong thing had stayed attached to you, today's breakthrough would have become tomorrow's regret. This is not a moment you revisit later. It only works while you're still here. That's how close this moment is. What you stepped into today didn't stop at your own life. It reached backward and forward at the same time. You may have thought that choice lived quietly inside you, unseen, personal, almost fragile. But heaven never measures moments the way humans do. Heaven looks at bloodlines. It looks at futures not yet born. Every time you believed when doubt was shouting in your ear. Every time you rose even though your body felt unsteady. Every time you whispered yes to God while everything in you wanted to retreat. Those moments weren't small. They were seismic. They sent tremors through generations. Courage is being written into your family story because of you. Strength will show up in your children without them knowing where it came from. Your grandchildren will carry a resilience they can't explain, a quiet confidence rooted in a choice you made today. Even people far beyond your household will one day eat fruit from a seed you planted when you chose faith over fear. Understand this clearly. Faith is never wasted. Every faithful choice becomes a seed. And today, heaven responded by watering that seed with joy. Something living is already growing. A tree strong enough to provide shade, nourishment, and shelter for lives you may never meet. Your breakthrough was never meant to end with you. It was designed to flow through you. The world tried to convince you that you were too settled, too late, too worn to matter in the way that counts. But look at what just unfolded. The years you've lived are not evidence of decline. They are proof of refinement. Your gray hair carries wisdom earned through fire. Your scars speak louder than any success story ever could. Your lines are not decay, they are records of battles survived. Time does not weaken the chosen. Time purifies them. It strips away illusion and leaves only what's real. Think of Paul. Beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, misunderstood, written off by many as finished. From a cold cell, bruised and restricted, he wrote words soaked in pain and conviction. Those letters outlived empires. Long after Rome collapsed, his testimony continued shaping hearts across centuries. What seemed like an ending became multiplication. That same principle is at work in you. Your story is not closing, it is expanding. What God is doing through you now is larger than a single chapter. It is echoing outward. If you feel it stirring, if you sense that your faith is about to ripple beyond you into your family line, acknowledge it, name it, declare legacy where you are. Let it be known that your journey is not concluding, it is reproducing. Because heaven didn't celebrate your courage today only for your sake. Heaven celebrated because countless others will one day stand taller, believe stronger, and endure longer, because you chose faith when it mattered most. And this generational wave, this quiet but unstoppable expansion, is only the opening movement of what heaven has already set in motion through your breakthrough. Do you want to understand why joy burst through heaven today? Why eternity itself seemed to pause and lean in toward your life? It wasn't because you finally had everything together. It wasn't because you reached some flawless version of yourself or solved every question that haunted you. Here is the truth that shakes the ground beneath everything you've believed. God smiled because you did the one thing everyone told you could never be done. You chose to trust Him instead of the lies. For a long time, maybe longer than you want to admit, those voices followed you. Not His voice, but the other ones. The ones that whispered late at night that you were too old for wonder, too worn for miracles, that your season had already passed. They said God had moved on, that you missed your window, that the best was behind you. And for a while, those words sank in. They echoed. They shaped how you saw yourself. But today, something shifted. Today, you stared those lies down and quietly refused them. You chose God's design over your fear. You chose His promise over their forecasts. You chose His truth over the verdict the world handed you. That choice was your impossible moment. It's like Moses standing at the edge of the sea, hearing panic behind him and death ahead, with no visible way forward. The crowd cried out that it was over, yet he lifted the staff anyway, and what had never moved before split open. It's like Peter hearing a single word, "Come," and placing his foot onto raging water while everyone else stayed in the boat, convinced he was making a fool of himself. Yet for a moment, the impossible held him up. It's like Lazarus, sealed in a grave for days, when hope had already been buried with him, hearing his name spoken and stepping into light while shock rippled through the crowd. What happened then is what happened now. You stepped forward when staying still felt safer. You lifted what little faith you had left. You walked out of a place that had been holding you captive, a tomb of doubt, delay, and disappointment. And heaven responded. God's joy didn't come from your perfection, it came from your faithfulness. He smiled because you trusted Him enough to move, even without guarantees. Every time life knocked you down and you found a way to rise again, it was shaping you for this. Every tear you shed alone was softening the ground. Every quiet prayer you whispered when hope felt lifeless was building toward this release. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was ignored. This wasn't a sudden miracle out of nowhere. It was the culmination of endurance, courage, and trust forged in hidden places. This moment carries the weight of everything you've survived. This is your impossible victory, not because it came easily, but because you chose God when choosing Him cost you something. And that is why heaven could not remain silent today. Something else is happening now that often goes unnoticed when a breakthrough begins, and it's quieter than celebration. This next part matters because many people lose what God just released, not because the enemy took it, but because they didn't know how to carry it. It's the moment after the door opens, when the noise fades, and a new responsibility settles gently on your spirit. Not responsibility in the sense of pressure, but stewardship. When God entrusts movement, He also entrusts care. This season isn't about proving anything or rushing ahead to show results. It's about learning how to walk differently with what's been released. You may notice your appetite changing, not just for things, but for conversations, environments, even goals that once drove you. What used to feel urgent may suddenly feel heavy. What once excited you may now require discernment. This isn't confusion, it's maturity beginning to take shape. Breakthrough doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with a deepened awareness, a quieter inner compass that invites you to listen more closely than before. You might feel drawn to slower mornings, fewer explanations, simpler choices. You might sense a need to guard your peace, not out of fear, but out of respect for what's growing. New beginnings are fragile, not because they are weak, but because they are alive. And living things require space, patience, and gentle handling. This is where many people stumble, not because they fail, but because they rush. They speak too soon, move too fast, carry others before their own roots are deep. But heaven often does its most important work underground. Just as seeds break open in darkness before they ever reach the light, what God has started in you now needs time to strengthen where no one can see. Silence in this phase is not hiding, it's honoring. You don't need to announce what's shifting. You don't need validation to confirm it's real. The same God who began this movement knows how to sustain it. You may feel a new sensitivity to alignment, a quiet discomfort when something pulls you away from peace. Pay attention to that. It's not restriction, it's guidance. Not everything that looks good belongs in this next chapter. Not every open door needs to be walked through immediately. This season invites you to value depth over speed, faithfulness over noise, obedience over appearance. And here's the reassurance your heart needs to hear. Nothing is fragile in God's hands. You are not responsible for keeping the breakthrough alive through effort or perfection. Your role is presence, awareness, and trust. What God opens, He also protects. What He begins, He completes. You are not walking into this next phase alone or unprepared. You are walking into it accompanied, covered, and led. And as you continue, gently, steadily, you'll notice that the path ahead feels clearer, not because you see everything, but because you no longer need to. Before anything else, let the pressure dissolve. You don't need to fix yourself, refine yourself, or prove that you're ready for what God is doing. Nothing more is being asked of you. This season isn't about effort or striving. It's about permission. Permission to pause. Permission to stop carrying what was never meant to live on your shoulders. Alignment right now can look very small and very gentle. It may be as simple as allowing yourself a few quiet moments at the start or end of the day where nothing is required of you. No explaining, no asking, no planning. Just awareness that God is present without you needing to perform. Rest is not avoidance here, it's agreement. Trust begins to grow when you notice the urge to replay outcomes in your mind and softly allow that loop to loosen, reminding yourself that what's unfolding does not depend on your constant supervision. Release can happen in ordinary moments, when you choose not to immediately react, when you let an unanswered message wait, when you give yourself permission to sit with uncertainty without forcing clarity. Receiving may look like accepting help without apology, enjoying something simple without guilt, or letting a day be unfinished without judging yourself. These are quiet movements, but they are deeply spiritual. In this season, alignment isn't found by doing more, but by doing less with intention. You may notice that your body is asking for slower mornings, that your spirit feels better with fewer conversations, that peace has become more valuable than progress. That's not withdrawal, that's wisdom forming. You are invited to notice what brings calm and to stay there a little longer. You don't need to chase reassurance or confirmation. God is already working in spaces you cannot access or measure. Resting now does not delay what is coming. It prepares you to recognize it when it arrives. You are allowed to trust that what is meant for you is not fragile, that it does not disappear when you stop trying to hold it together. Release the idea that you must understand the process or manage the outcome. Receiving often begins when control is gently set down. Let this season be lighter. Let your pace soften. Let alignment happen naturally as you choose what brings peace instead of urgency. You are not falling behind by resting. You are being positioned, and you don't need to see the whole path or know the exact timing, because what is meant for you will arrive without force, without striving, and without you needing to make it happen. As this moment begins to settle, allow everything you felt to rest where it is. Nothing that surfaced inside you was random or misplaced. The stirring, the recognition, the quiet release, all of it mattered. You didn't imagine it, and you didn't arrive here by chance. You are not behind, not drifting, not forgotten. The pace you're moving at matches the season you're in, even if it hasn't always felt clear. What you've walked through, what you've endured, and what you're gently laying down now all belong to the same unfolding story. There is no need to rush toward the next thing or look back with judgment. You are being held exactly where you are. God has been present in every unseen moment, every pause, every breath you took when you weren't sure what came next. The process you're in isn't confusion, it's formation, and it's happening with care. You don't need to gather strength or prepare yourself further. You don't need to make sense of everything you felt. Simply remain here, grounded and safe, letting your heart soften as the noise fades. Stay with this stillness for a little longer and allow it to gently carry you into the quiet moment of prayer that follows. There is a quiet space opening right now, a gentle place where you don't have to hold yourself together. God, we come into this moment carrying what has weighed us down for so long, the tiredness that doesn't leave with sleep, the anxiety that sits in the chest, the sense of being stuck while time keeps moving, the fear of what tomorrow might demand, and we set it all before you without needing to explain or justify it. You already see the ones listening who feel worn from carrying responsibility too long, the ones who have tried to be strong when they felt empty, the ones who smiled through pressure and uncertainty, and you meet them here with tenderness. Nothing they feel is hidden from you. Nothing they bring is too much. We rest these burdens in your presence, not as an act of effort, but as an act of trust. You are the God who works in ways we cannot track, who moves even when the path looks still, who remains faithful when understanding runs out. As your word says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And that rest is not distant. It is arriving now, softly, without force. For the exhausted mind, bring quiet. For the anxious heart, bring steadiness. For the one who feels lost, bring a sense of being guided, even without clear answers. We acknowledge that we do not need to manage outcomes or control timing. We release the pressure to figure everything out. We place the future gently back into your hands, trusting that you are already there. Like the Israelites, guided by a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, even when they did not know the way, we trust that you are leading step by step. Let peace settle deeper than circumstances. Let your presence surround those listening with safety and reassurance. Let hope return, not as urgency, but as quiet confidence that nothing entrusted to you is ever lost. We receive your care, your provision, your nearness, without striving. We rest in the truth that you are doing what we cannot do, seeing what we cannot see, and holding what we no longer need to carry. Thank you for meeting us gently in this moment, for staying close, for covering what feels fragile, and for walking with each listener beyond this space. As we come to the close of this time together, may everyone listening feel calmer, lighter, and held, carrying this sense of peace with them as they move forward, knowing they are not alone and never have been. Even one word is enough. Silence is the only thing that keeps this unacknowledged. If you don't know what to write, write the first word that came to your mind when this message began. If you feel safe to do so, you're gently invited to write a few words in the comments, not to explain everything, but simply to name what you're carrying right now. A hope, a worry, a pain, a question you've never said out loud. Writing it down can be an act of release, a quiet way of placing it before God and trusting that He sees, He listens, and He holds it with care in His perfect timing. If this moment brought peace, you may choose to share it with someone who needs the same reassurance, and you're welcome to subscribe to stay connected to these moments of rest. You are not alone, and this moment is being held gently in God's presence and grace.